Welcome to the Royal Society for the Blind's third lifestyle webinar. My name is Lisa Palmer and I'm the Head of Financial Planning for Statewide Super. We're really proud to be partnering with RSB in delivering this lifestyle webinar series to you. Today we're fortunate to be joined by author, columnist and expert demographer Bernard Salt. Our topic is Seeing a Better Australia, and we'll spend time with Bernard understanding the analysis he's conducted on current and future needs of the vision impaired and blind people in Australia and across the world. We'll also spend time considering how prepared we are to meet the vision care needs of an ageing population. If there are questions you may have, we ask that you email anything you may want to know to webinars@rsb.org.au.
Hi, my name is Bernard Salt. I am the Managing Director of the Demographics Group and, of course, formerly KPMG partner, who established a reputation in the field of demographics, I suppose. I have been asked by the Royal Society for the Blind to contribute to this webinar, and it follows on from some thought leadership work that I did on the demographics of ageing and the demographics of vision impairment. There is a document floating around where I talk about how many people have vision impairment in Australia, and my numbers suggest that there is around about 640,000 people over the age of 55 that have vision impairment, and of that around about 82,000 severe vision impairment, I suppose a form of blindness, if you will. These are largely baby boomers these days over the age of 55, and it's about 1 in 10 people over the age of 55 have some form of vision impairment. And I will say that that includes me. I do wear glasses for reading, so I suppose that's I'm in that number. It is, in fact, part of the ageing process. Macular degeneration, of course, is a significant issue in the ageing process, and it's a matter that does need to be addressed by Australian society going forward. We have 5 million baby boomers born 1946 to 1964, ranging from 55 through to 70 today. Midpoint is about 61 or 62. So the baby boomer generation is very much right in the firing line of a diminution of vision quality going forward. And so this is going to create great health challenges for Australia and Australian society going forward.
Is there no end to the health issues that the baby boomer cohort will have to endure over the next decade? Bernard, how do you see this playing out?
Of course, these numbers will increase in the future as the baby boomers push beyond their 60s and into their 70s and beyond. By 2028, the estimates are that there will be close to 800,000 Australians over the age of 55 with vision impairment. That is up 160,000 on the current number, which means that about 16,000 extra Australians every year over the age of 55 will suffer from some form of vision impairment. This is quite a significant increase, and of course it's driven by the ageing of the baby boomer generation. So there is going to be a requirement for greater resources, greater pressure, more requirements for optometrists and ophthalmologists going forward, I would imagine, and increasingly, of course, a requirement for more funding. The issue here is that it's not just vision that diminishes with age. A whole range of other matters come to the fore. So I can see this being quite a challenge for Australian society, and a great challenge for groups like the Royal Society for the Blind to make sure that they are able to advocate for a fair share of the health, wellness and ageing budget going forward in order to maintain or even improve the quality of life for people in their 60s and 70s. I will also say that this is not just an issue for people in that age group. Of course, the vision impairment can apply right throughout the life cycle, and blindness, of course, affects everyone, or can affect everyone at any age. It's just that it's more prevalent, of course, later in life. So even though the demographics suggest that it is the baby boomers that will lead the way in terms of demand for services and funding in this matter going forward, it's important to realise that this is something that does affect all Australians.
What can government do about the looming issue of vision impairment for an ageing population? Is this just a funding matter?
This, of course, begs the question of what governments can do, and governments can do what governments do best, and that is fund. The problem there is, as ever, in order to fund one program or one priority, that you need to take it away from another, or increase taxes, or a combination of both. I feel that certainly with the right advocacy, with the right awareness, as a society, that's all we can do. Put forward our case, or put forward the case for providing funding and infrastructure and services and research for vision impairment, so that we as a society can say, well, here is how we want to mitigate the effects of this process of ageing in the future. All we can do as a society, I think, is to make sure that we are fully aware of the facts, and hopefully my modest contribution in my thought piece around the basic numbers of 640,000 over the age of 55 up to 800,000 over the age of 55 with vision impairment over the next 10 years. Very simple, very clean, very easily understood numbers, significant numbers requiring funding. The other thing, of course, that governments can do is simply raise awareness. And so awareness programs, webinars like this, the terrific work that is done by the Royal Society for the Blind, all part of the story of bringing to the fore, making people aware of many of the issues that are associated with ageing, with vision impairment, and even with blindness. In fact, I think it's very sad in some respects that many afflictions or many conditions, and therefore many Australians, are subjected to health challenges that are not always brought to the fore. I think as a society we need to make sure that everyone in need has access to the right services, the right facilities, and is given the opportunity to live the very best life that they can. This, of course, raises the issue also of the role of the Royal Society for the Blind. What a fantastic institution and organisation. I'm thrilled to have been involved with them on this project, looking at the demographics of ageing. What wonderful people, a great volunteer program, and doing real work, practical work, to improve the lives of Australians that are facing quite unique challenges that the vast majority, are not faced with. So a terrific organisation, and I think their role going forward to garner resources, marshal resources, pull in favours, do whatever you need to do in order to deliver the very best possible outcome. And the very best possible outcome is, in fact, to make sure there's enough funding, there's enough institutional research, there's enough firepower, if you like, in order to enable every Australian vision impaired to live the very best life they can.
What can the Royal Society of the Blind do to mitigate the vision impairment risks for an ageing population?
Of course, the issue of the ageing of the baby boomers is not just about the diminution of their vision capacity. It's also a range of other challenges that they will face. It's very easy to paint a quite negative picture of the next 10 years. as the baby boomers push beyond the working life and into early, hopefully active retirement. But in many respects, I would argue that this is a very positive phase in Australian history. You have 5 million people pushing out of their 50s into their 60s and early 70s. This is still a young, relatively young, active stage in the life cycle. In hopefully the health challenges that they're facing are impairment as opposed to losing capacities altogether. That hopefully that they have managed their finances so that they're reasonably financially secure, that they have their family around them and so forth. I know that this is not always the case for everyone, but hopefully that's the case for the majority. You could argue this is going to be it's a golden stage in Australian history and in the life cycle where so many people make a contribution to society through volunteering, through legacy, through mentoring, through coaching, through being directors, through being umpires and referees and fundraisers at local sporting events and so forth. So you could argue that the next 10 years really is going to be a very positive phase in Australian history because of this giving back civic contribution stage in the life cycle. The 2030s perhaps might be a little more challenging for the baby boomers as they push late 70s and 80s, of course. But again, this is all part of the grand circle of life, isn't it?
If anyone's going to make statistics on vision impairment across Australia interesting and insightful, it's certainly going to be you, Bernard. Can you share with us what you've got next on your agenda?
What's next on the agenda for myself? Well, of course, I retired from the KPMG partnership in the middle of 2017. And I thought I would just wander off and do a bit of speaking, a bit of writing, but such has been the demand for my services that I've continued on. And I will say that I'm very much enjoying it, making a contribution. I think that there is a role and a requirement for people to make that bigger picture observation about Australian society and how we've changed. There's any number of people, accountants and MBAs and other corporate whoever, to interpret whether this quarter is better than last quarter and whether we can expect more growth next year than last year. It's very short-term focused, and I sort of get that. Sometimes I think that it's worthwhile to see that bigger picture. Where were we 20 years ago? Where might we be in 20 years' time? And that's the niche that I particularly like. I like dealing with the here and now. I like dealing with that bigger picture, high altitude view of Australia. So that's where I intend to be. I intend to continue floating about, speaking and writing and doing whatever I can, hopefully, to make a contribution. And later in life, you do want to leave a legacy. You want to make a better Australia in the future than we've had in the past. That's what you really want in society.
And I have one final question for you, Bernard. How's your eyesight?
How's my eyesight? Well, in fact, I do wear glasses to read, but in fact, I quite enjoy wearing glasses. You can change your look every 2 or 3 years or so. So yes, I don't mind it at all. Sometimes it's a bit annoying when you can't find them, or they're dirty, or they get scratched, or whatever. But then that's part of life, isn't it? So yes, everyone thinks they're special, but the more I look at demography, no one is special at all. Least of all me. Right down the middle, baby boomer, and aging just like any other baby boomer. And just to sign off at the end, I'd like to thank the Royal Society for the Blind for the opportunity to have written my thought piece on the demographics of ageing and vision impairment in Australia. I have loved working with the organisation, doing the video clips and doing this webinar, if I can master the technology. It's also a wonderful sense of making a contribution to a part of society that sometimes need a hand, and why not lend a hand where you can. And if you can make a contribution to the Royal Society for the Blind, or indeed to any charitable organisation, then I would certainly urge you to do so. It's about giving back, I think, and it'd be great if we as a community, as a society, can increasingly do something for others. Why not?
Thank you, Bernard. That was really informative and as usual, really insightful. I'm sure our viewers have gained a lot from that. For those who don't know much about RSP and the support services that they can provide, it really is extensive, and I recommend you check out the website for further details. But just to give you a tip of the iceberg, they can provide support around technology, occupational therapy, wellness staff, counselling. They can provide transport that's tailored to your own needs, exercise physiology, you name it, there's a lot of support there. And they really want to work with you on a day to day basis to try and help you with your aspirational goals. You know, the Royal Society of the Blind has just this wealth of support that's just there for you. So check it out. There are a number of webinars still left within this lifestyle series. We've got Cooking with Confidence with Callum from Sprout Cooking School. We'll also have another one where we're joined by RSP's International Ambassador, Derek Rebello. And then the final session will be run by us, Statewide Super, sort of around children and money. As part of this session, we'll spend time talking with you around how to better support financial literacy for children with visual impairment. And that session will be good for parents, teachers, and even children themselves. Check it all out on the RSP website, rsp.org.au, and be sure to register for one of those free sessions. Statewide Super is proud to be supporting these webinar series. As a South Australian-based industry super fund, we offer competitive fees and a history of outstanding performance and returns for our members. We have over 145,000 members, and if you're interested in becoming a member of a top performing, well-rated super fund, head on down to our website, statewide.com.au. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you soon.